Hey, what's up, Liron here. Today I want to share with you a great question I received from someone who's in my frustration-free watercolor course. The title is basically layering versus efficiency, and have that in mind in a second. So what they're basically asking is this: how do you prevent overworking an area that requires layering? So they refer to a case where they're not happy with how dark an area is, and maybe they don't even like what it looks like in terms of the effect and smoothness of the wash, and then having to paint another layer on top of it. They're saying things like, I guess this is not a great idea, and should I avoid layering to minimize brush strokes? Now here's my response. First off, I know this isn't exactly what they ask, but it's very important to understand the quality of a wash, a part of a wash, how smooth it is, how patchy it is, how much cauliflowers there is in it or there isn't in it. All of that has very little significance over how, or importance when it comes to how good the painting looks or even how great it is. What makes a painting good or even great has more to do with the overall impression, the overall composition when someone looks at it, how they experience it, and the ability of the artist maybe to express their vision. These little inaccuracies, undesired effects have very little significance over the end result. I know it may sound strange, trust me on this one. I have many paintings where there are small areas that don't look good in isolation, but no one notices them. No one will ever notice them. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this, the reason this is important, is putting attention on things that don't matter as much for a good end result, or even, and I'm not saying this person does it, but generally speaking, even obsessing over things that have very little bearing over the end result, is exactly the kind of thing that prevents you from getting that result. Meaning, the more attention you give to the things that actually matter to executing your vision, to telling the story, to being completely immersed in the painting process, the better the result is going to be, even if the execution is imperfect. There is some quirkiness to your washes. There are some inconsistencies. All of these things won't matter. What matters more is the overall gesture. Just like when you're sketching something, if you're able to capture the overall gesture, the little details that fall within it don't matter as much. But if you try and manufacture artificially the perfection of these little details, you'll never be able to recreate the gesture. But if you first place the gesture down, in other words, if you let your vision guide you, every little thing in the path will look perfect, will be perfect. You cannot make mistakes when you paint this way. Now, they did mention painting dark enough and not being able to achieve the darkness in the way they want, so having to glaze another layer on top of it. I would argue that if you're free from the shackles of everything that is excessive, not as important, you will be able to get the paint to be dark enough on the first go. But I do want to address the idea of, is it wrong to glaze? Is it wrong to use multiple layers? The answer is, of course, no. It isn't wrong. There is no right or wrong. There is no correct and incorrect way. It has more to do with what drives you as an artist to create. If you enjoy glazes, if you enjoy layering, by all means, go for it. It's exactly the thing that will make your paintings wonderful. Now, if you do it out of necessity, because you made a mistake or whatever, that's fine. That's just the practical aspect of painting. But if you're consistently not able to get things to look the way they do, maybe there is room to examine the reason for that. Why don't you? Why can't you produce a wash that is dark enough to begin with? What's preventing you from doing that? Is it technique? Is it the way you mix your paints? Is it that you're not going for it? Or is it the understanding of how dark a mix should be? Because remember, watercolor dries lighter, so you have to account for it and almost mix it to look too dark to the untrained eye, but you know that it's going to be just the right value, right? So is it that? Or is it your tools and supplies going against you? Are you using pigments and brands that have paints that are very hard to mix and be dark? Maybe the paint is inherently light, right? If you understand it and you actually go for it and try to mix a very, very dark paint and try to account for it drying lighter in advance, you will understand very fast if it's your supplies working against you, if it's a matter of technique and how much you mix, is it a matter of lack of understanding of how dark things should look when mixed so that they end up drying dark enough on paper, right? I hope all of this makes sense. I just really wanted to share it because the nuance of how should I paint? Is it not a great idea? Is it the incorrect way of doing things? Those things immediately tell me that the artist's mind is preoccupied with things that don't promote a holistic, complete result that is perfect for them. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in a comment below if this is something you're also struggling with and if this addressed your question. I want to thank everyone who supports me over on Patreon. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. If you want to receive credits at the end of the videos, this is how you do it. Check it out. All the links are going to be in the description box below. And I will see you in the next vid. Take care.